Thank you all for joining. And we are going to start with Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. We'll continue with the following verses. And let's start. So before we start, I'm going to offer some prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So first of all, thank you all so much for joining this Bhagavad Gita class. Today we are going to get a brief glimpse about how to lead a karma-free life. So I'm going to read from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 2, text number 49. Durena hyavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvichya kripanaha phalahetavaha. This is a verse in Sanskrit spoken by the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. He's addressing Arjuna. The translation by Srila Prabhupada. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. A very powerful verse. So we can see that we get a glimpse of karma-free life, especially in this verse also. What is being said is that by devotional service, we have to keep all abominable activities far, far away. And in that consciousness, surrender to the Lord. Now, consciousness plays a very important part in our lives. So it is important that we purify the consciousness. And how do we do that? First of all, we take on the knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of all the Vedic literatures, and then we put it into practice. So there is theory, and then there is practical, and that will lead to purification of the consciousness. And that will help us to not be affected by any reactions. There will be no reactions actually. Every action has a reaction, whether it is good action or bad action. There's going to be good reactions and bad reactions. So it is important that we are very careful on what we do on our activities. Because now one may say, what is wrong in doing good actions? The only problem is with good actions will come good reactions. And to enjoy the good reactions of our good actions, we will need to take birth again in this material world. And so it's imperative that we understand we perform activities in such a way that there are no reactions at all. In fact, in chapter 3 and chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita, we will learn more about karma yoga. We will learn more about what is karma, what is akarma, what is vikarma. So all this knowledge we will get in those 2 chapters. But for right now, Krishna is introducing the concept of karma. And he also says that those who enjoy the fruits of their activities, they are considered misers, because that enjoying propensity will lead to attachment. And why misers? Misers, who are the misers? Misers are those who have something, but they don't want to use it. They want to, hold on to it. Like if, there is a millionaire, he's got millions of dollars, but he puts them, in the safe deposit box or whatever, or in the bank, and doesn't want to use it. That's a miser. So how do we understand that in a practical sense? Simple. This human form of life is very rare. Out of 8.4 million species of life, just 400,000 species is the human form. All other species are insects, aquatics, animals, all different other living entities. So this rare human form of life, if we do not use it for its right purpose, then we are a miser. This is what is being explained. And Srila Prabhupada, who has translated this Bhagavad Gita as it is, and he's given beautiful purports, he explains in his purports that if we somehow or the other can understand our constitutional possession. What is that? Jivera Swaruphoy Krishnera Nityadas. What does that mean? That our constitutional position is that we are eternal servants of the Lord. It's not that we are a monthly servant or a weekly servant. No, we are eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. Just like when we go to work, we have a boss. And he is the boss. He's the boss every day. It's not that Monday there's another boss and Tuesday another, and then no, unless of course we are hopping from one job to another. Otherwise, it's the same boss and we are the employee. So similarly, we need to understand that the Supreme Lord is the controller. He is the master. We are just his servants who are supposed to serve him. So if we understand that, actually, if you see, we are serving all the time. We are serving our senses. We are serving our family. We are serving our friends. We are serving our children. We are serving the society, the country. We are serving our boss. We are serving all the time. So if we are putting in so much effort in serving others, why not add the Supreme Lord in that too? Serve the Supreme Lord. So if we are, understand that right consciousness, what is our position and what are the activities that we are supposed to perform, that is called karma yoga, or it's also called bhakti yoga. Bhakti means devotion. Yoga means connecting with the Supreme Lord. And this becomes possible when we perform our activities with love and devotion, keeping the Supreme Lord in the center of our lives, serving him. And how best can we serve? The best way is by following the instructions that are given to us in the Bhagavad Gita, to work in his consciousness, which is called working in Krishna consciousness. And that is the right consciousness. And then a person comes to the stage of bhakti yoga or karma yoga, which is loving devotional service to the Lord. So in this verse that we read today, number 49 of chapter 2, Krishna is saying that if we do not follow the laws of the Supreme Lord, all those activities are considered abominable. And obviously, there are going to be reactions for those actions. So then we will continue to remain in the cycle of birth, disease, old age, and death. Then again, birth, disease, old age, and death. We have seen that Ferris wheel that goes round and round. When we go to the fair, we are excited to sit in that Ferris wheel, and then we enjoy going up. When we go up, we like screaming while coming down because of the butterflies in the stomach. But how many times can we go round and round? Once, twice, thrice. After a few times, we will be tired. We'll be like, oh no, I don't want to be on the Ferris wheel anymore. It's the same thing with our lives. We are going through the cycle of birth and death again and again and again. And here in this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is giving us a process by which we can break this cycle. And by performing karma yoga, we can break the cycle and go to a place which is permanent, which is full of happiness and peace. There is no birth, no disease, no old age, no death. And guess what? We don't even have to go to a job to work to pay our bills. Everything there in the spiritual world is just enjoying with the Supreme Lord, serving the Supreme Lord even in the spiritual world. Let's see what does he say in the next verse, which is number 50. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. So, how powerful is this knowledge? We can get rid of both good and bad reactions. Now, one may say, what is wrong in being good? There's nothing, but it's not good enough to be good. We have to go beyond that. When we go to chapter 14 of Bhagavad Gita, we will learn the different modes of material nature, ignorance, passion, goodness. But then we need to go beyond goodness, which is pure goodness. And in that consciousness, when we operate, when we perform our activities in pure goodness, then there are no reactions at all. And if there are no reactions, there's no more birth, no more death. So here, Krishna is asking Arjuna to strive for yoga. And that is the art of work, which is actually a karma, which means following the instructions of the Supreme Lord, performing activities based on those instructions, and not desiring to enjoy the fruits of our activities. That is called a karma. So here Krishna says, strive for yoga. Unfortunately, most of us do not know the meaning of yoga. We think yoga is probably performing some asanas in a yoga studio, for good health, which is good. But actual yoga means connection with the Supreme Lord. How? By following his instructions. Yoga is connecting, and that is bhakti yoga. There is a yoga ladder. And how does the yoga ladder work? So there is karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, ashtanga yoga, bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is right on top. It's the top rung of the yoga ladder. And that bhakti yoga is nothing but starting with mantra meditation. When we perform mantra meditation, those sound vibrations are so powerful that they enter straight into our hearts, and they purify the heart, they purify the consciousness, and then we can really understand what this life is all about. You see, we have performed so many activities in this life, in previous lives, and we have accumulated so many reactions. So one may say, if I have so many reactions, how do I get rid of them? I don't want them because I don't want to face misery. There is a very easy process. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us how to remove all the reactions. In the very last chapter, verse number 66, he gives us the formula to become sin-free, to become karma-free, which means we wipe out all our reactions of the past. And what is that? Sarva dharman parityagya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tuam sarva papebhyo. Pap means sinful reactions. He says, I'll remove all your sinful reactions. All we need to do is surrender to the instructions of the Supreme Lord. So this is how Bhagavad Gita teaches us what is our constitutional position. How can we liberate ourselves? How can we become free from bondage? How can we become free from all past reactions and lead a karma-free life? Let's see what he says in verse number 51. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. So here is a formula to break the cycle and go to the spiritual world. and then there is no more suffering. You see, there are 7 kinds of suffering in this material world: birth, disease, old age, death. 3 more: miseries caused by our body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, miseries caused by material nature. So all these 7 sufferings can easily be removed. We can easily get rid of them just by following the Bhagavad Gita. So here he's saying how? By devotional service. Now, service is generally done by servants, right? So here we need to add one aspect to the service, and which is devotion. So devotional service. And Krishna is telling Arjuna that by devotional service, great sages and devotees, they have become free from karma. They have become free from the cycle of birth and death. And they've gone to a state beyond these miseries, which is going back to the spiritual world or going back to Godhead. So we all have experienced that in this material world, of course, we all agree we are in the material world. We are not in the spiritual world. If we were in the spiritual world, we wouldn't be suffering at all. And I don't think there's anyone who can say, I am not suffering at all. Yes, maybe right now we may not be suffering, but we have suffered in the past, and there is a guarantee that we will suffer in the future too. So if this place, this material world, is a place of misery where we belong right now, we can remove that situation. We can remove the state of ignorance. Why are we in the material world? Because of ignorance. If we take on the knowledge and remove the ignorance, then we will become qualified to go back to our real home. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna that intelligent people, they understand this and they work towards breaking the cycle of birth and death. Many people, they think about doing fruitive work. We learned about this in previous verses, and I think last week also we learned about fruitive work. Fruitive work is something where we are performing activities and we want the fruits of those activities to enjoy. But that does not make us really happy. You know, that fruitive work, oh, let me get a better home, a better job, a better spouse. Of course, we can't say, let me get better kids, because kids have already come. There's nothing you can do. But we think that if we try and get something better, we will be happy. We have tried that. Has that made us happy? Probably not. And even if it has made us happy, it is temporary. Happiness is there, and then happiness is gone. In previous verses, we learned, I think it was verse number 14, where Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kanteya shitoshana sukha dukkadaha. That just like the summer and winter seasons come and go, happiness and distress also comes and goes. So you see, it's temporary. Even happiness is temporary. I had once heard that in some country, I don't remember which country it was, there was this gentleman who got married probably 80 or 90 times. So many times he got married. And I believe he had 141 kids. And he was still unhappy. Even after trying to enjoy with so many different spouses, having so many children, he was still unhappy. Why? Because he's looking for happiness in a place where there is no happiness. But if we come to a stage of that transcendental consciousness, then a person will be happy in any situation, because that person would have strived for yoga, would have connected with the Supreme Lord, and is happy in every situation. See? So fruitive work cannot really make us happy. We, in fact, most of us, we are trying to be the controllers. We want to control the spouse, the children, the colleagues, the friends, the family. We just want, because we feel a superiority complex by being the controller. Oh, I am in control. Like I am the head of the family, or I am this, or I am that, trying to be controllers, but we are not. We are just servants. We are serving. Even though we may be, say, for instance, I am the head of the family and I say I am the controller, but I'm still serving. I'm still serving spouse, children, parents, everybody. I'm still serving. So if we understand our position, our constitutional position, which is to be the servant of the Supreme Lord, then what will happen? We will come to that state of consciousness, which is called Krishna consciousness or God consciousness, where we will, even this vast ocean, like, Pacific Ocean or Atlantic Ocean, any ocean we may take, or the ocean of this whole material creation, it will appear to us like a small puddle, and we can easily cross over. How difficult is it to cross a puddle? Not at all. So it's just a state of consciousness. So here, Krishna is telling Arjuna that the great sages and great devotees, they have freed themselves. How? By leading a karma-free life, where there are no more reactions at all. Let's see what he says in verse number 52. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. With intelligence, we can remove delusion. What are some of the delusions we may have? Some of the delusions we may have is, I'm the best. There's no one better than me. Other delusion could be, I'm going to live forever. And that's not true at all. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, for all those who have taken birth, death is for sure. There is no other way. And after death, one is sure to be born again, unless we prepare ourselves to break this cycle. So with intelligence, we can remove delusion. So it's not just, Bhagavad Gita is not just blind faith. No. It is faith in the words of the Supreme Lord. In the Vedas, now Bhagavad Gita is the essence of the Vedas. Now the vast Vedas, which were divided into 4, they, talk about a lot about fruitive work, about rituals and all that. There's no need for all that. Because the purpose of the Vedas, in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, we will learn in verse 15, Krishna says, Vedescha sarvir aham eva vedayo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. What does that mean? That is Sanskrit verse. It means, Krishna says, I am the compiler of the Vedas. I'm the Supreme Lord. I have compiled the Vedas, and the purpose of the Vedas is to know the Supreme Lord. That's it. And how can we begin the process of understanding the Lord? Very simple. He says, Satatam Kirtayanto Ma. Always chanting my glories, chanting the glories of Krishna. And that we can do with mantra meditation. Mantra. Man means mind. Tra means to free the mind of all anxieties. So when we chant the mantra, do that meditation, the sound vibrations help us to purify our body, our mind, our senses, our consciousness. That's it. And that is devotional service. And that is how we will be able to understand purpose of life. So when we are engaged in devotional service to the Lord, then we transcend even the Vedas. If we perform devotional service, that means we have understood the Vedas. There's no need to read the Vedas, because the essence of the Vedas is here in the Bhagavad Gita. Let's see what he says in the next verse, number 53. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. This is what he's talking about, divine consciousness, purification of the consciousness. So the mind should not be disturbed. Now that is very difficult. How can we control the mind? Further on, Krishna is going to explain how to control the mind. How do we do that? Because the mind, if it is disturbed, then it's not going to be able to focus on anything. So it has to be undisturbed. And there's a process. Sometimes people get distracted by the flowery words of the Vedas. In the Vedas, as I was explaining, there are different sections. And one section is like how to become great, how to become a yogi, how to become a sage, all different options are there, so how you can go to heavenly planets. So all that process and rituals are mentioned, but one should not be disturbed by that at all, not disturbed, because the object of or the purpose of human life is to reach a stage of self-realization, and that is possible with the help of knowledge. Then Krishna says, when the mind is not disturbed, then one will reach the divine consciousness. And as we go through all the chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, gradually the whole process will be explained to us. So our only business is to somehow or the other do our prescribed duties, but do it in the consciousness of the Supreme Lord, which means work for the satisfaction of the Supreme. That is highest perfection. At the same time, remembering our constitutional position, which is being the eternal servant of Krishna. Now, in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada explains that if a devotee is undisturbed, that means that he has unflinching faith in the Lord. And he is qualified to go back to the spiritual world. All he needs to do is follow the instructions of the spiritual teacher and the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. Let's see verse number 54. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? And what is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? Now one may think, I know how to sit, I know how to walk, I know how to eat. No one needs to teach me that. But here Arjuna's question is a person who has transcended the modes of material nature, someone who is in the pure state of consciousness. That is what he's talking about. And Arjuna's questions are really good. They are helpful for us because he asked this question. Now Krishna is going to answer those questions so that we can get benefit out of it. Just like, so Arjuna wants to know the symptoms of such a person, right? So just like a rich person or a person who's diseased or a learned person or a devotee, they all have specific symptoms. So also a devotee of the Lord has specific symptoms. And the topmost quality is the speech. Very, very important. There is a saying that a fool is known only when he opens his mouth. He or she, whoever it is, when they open their mouth, that's when you know, oh, this person is really foolish. So what does a devotee do? He only talks about spiritual knowledge to others. He does not waste his time in, unnecessarily talking about different things that are going on or whatever. Yes, it is good to know what's going on, but we don't want to invest all our energy in that. It's important that we use our speech in the right way, because the speech can really either impact someone's life, or it can also be a downfall for somebody. So speech is very, very important. So what does a devotee do? He tries to give this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Krishna to others. So when the devotee is trying to spread the glories of the Lord, then the other symptoms automatically follow. Automatically. It's not that he has to strive hard to get them. Let's do verse number 55. Now here is the answer by the Lord for Arjuna's questions. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Parth, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So you see, these are the requirements. Only when we achieve all these different what you call varieties that Krishna is talking about here, then we can be considered to be in transcendental consciousness. So in other words, Krishna is describing the good qualities of a devotee, someone who does not speculate. There's no mental concoction, because mental concoction is very dangerous. We need to understand, especially the spiritual knowledge as it was spoken by the Supreme Lord himself. No additions, no subtractions, no multiplications, no divisions. No, none at all. So here he's saying that when a man gives up, all varieties of desire for sense gratification, like for instance, when we wake up in the morning, oh, I want to eat something nice, I want to see something nice, I want to hear something. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as it is dovetailed in such a way that it reminds us of the Supreme Lord as well. And then what are those desires that arise from mental concoction? How many thousands of thoughts come into our mind in 24 hours? It's unimaginable. I am sure right now all of you listening to Bhagavad Gita are still, the mind is running here, there, everywhere, and thinking about, oh, when is she going to stop talking so I can do my laundry, or so I can do this, or whatever it may be. Thoughts keep coming over and over and over again. So he's saying, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind thus purified, which means, excuse me, for us to reach the transcendental consciousness, the mind has to be in control. How? By mantra meditation. This is how we can control the mind. And it has to be on a regular basis, because the mind is like a child. Excuse me. What do we do with the children? We have to keep reminding them again and again. When they start learning, we keep on repeating A for apple, B for bat, C for cat. We just keep repeating over it because it is necessary. That's how the child is able to absorb that knowledge. So similarly, the mind also needs engagement on a daily basis. And the mantra meditation helps the mind to come under control. And then he says, find satisfaction in the self alone. So the question may arise, are we satisfied? Probably not. I heard that probably on Friday, a new iPhone is going to be released. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. This is what I heard. So one may say, oh, if only I can get iPhone 13 Pro Max, I will be happy and satisfied. But guess what? After a few months, or after a year, a new phone will be released. Where did the satisfaction go? It's gone. It was temporary. But here, a person in that higher consciousness is satisfied. No matter what it is satisfied in all situations. Then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So if we can somehow or the other understand everything belongs to Krishna. Everything belongs to the Lord. And everything should be used in his service. Not just we try to satisfy our senses, but we need to purify the mind. And the process is to take on the knowledge, contemplate on it, see if this is something we like, and then put it into practice. And once we put it into practice, especially if we do mantra meditation on a daily basis, we ourselves will notice that our consciousness is getting purified. The mind is coming under control. And Bhagavad Gita is showing the way. So when we perform all our activities, all the karma that we are doing should be changed into karma yoga, bhakti yoga, something, activities that are somehow or the other focusing on satisfying the Supreme Lord. When we satisfy the Supreme Lord, we will automatically be satisfied. You know, just take an example of a plant. A plant, what do? Do we, every day start watering the leaves and the flowers and, all different parts of the tree? No, we just water the root. And as soon as we do that, the whole tree gets nourished. Just like we have these senses. And how do we satisfy our hunger? By putting food in the mouth and goes to the stomach, and all the parts of the body, they get nourished. It's not that we, take bread and put it on the hand, and we take some butter and put it on in the eyes, and we take, jam and put it in our nose. No, we don't do that, because we understand as soon as we satisfy the stomach, the whole body is going to be satisfied. Similarly, as soon as we try to satisfy the Supreme Lord, we automatically will become completely satisfied. So this is how we cannot stop desiring. Our nature is to think, feel, and will. We cannot stop that. All we can do is we can dovetail our desires to the Supreme Lord so that He is satisfied, we are satisfied and happy. It's not that He needs our satisfaction or our service. He is complete in Himself. He doesn't need anything from us, but He gives us an opportunity to perform karma-free, activities, so that we get the benefit in return. The next verse, number 56. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. So here now we have the symptoms of a great sage, of someone who is thitadhir, someone who has a steady mind. Are our minds steady? No, they're hopping like a monkey from one tree to another, going here, there, everywhere. So here is a process how one can become a completely fixed in mind, steady in mind, always in God consciousness, always in Krishna consciousness, always understanding Krishna is the Supreme Lord. I am just a servant of the Supreme Lord. Then, and fixing the mind in the Lord. How do we do that? Same old story, mantra meditation. By performing this chanting of the holy name, we will start getting purified, and we will see that the mind is getting fixed in Krishna. Then we will not be disturbed by miseries. What are the three miseries he's talking about here? Is miseries caused by body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, and miseries caused by material nature. This is what he's talking about. Then we will not be disturbed. So if we perform our activities with the goal of leading a karma-free life, then there should be no attachment to all the activities that we perform. There has to be steady determination, control of anger. How does one become angry? We will learn later on in Bhagavad Gita what causes us to get angry. I'm not sure if all of you, on the Zoom call or on Facebook, whether you'll get angry or not, I don't know. But most people do get angry. And what is the cause? So Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, when the senses come in contact with sense objects, there is a desire to get that object. And that desire starts becoming more and more deep. And then when the desire is not fulfilled, because we have got so attached to that desire, when it is not fulfilled, anger arises. Because I didn't get what I wanted. But the problem is, the problem doesn't end there. Because anger arises, there is a chemical reaction in the body, and then the mind stops functioning. Then we start saying things that we don't really mean. We start hurting other people, we start insulting them, and in that process, intelligence is lost. One gets bewildered and one falls down in consciousness. So here, Krishna is saying that one has to control anger. And that is possible with steady determination. We need to practice, practice, practice on a daily basis. And the easy way to practice is just mantra meditation. This will help us to become equipoised. We will not be disturbed in miseries. Neither will we will be too elated when there is happiness. We will be equipoised, completely steady in determination. That is what he's talking about. Let's see verse number 57. We'll just do 2 more verses, then we'll be done. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So you see, it's not easy. There are always upheavals in life, ups and downs, ups and downs. There are more downs than ups, basically, for most of us. So in Krishna also says that this material world is dukhalayam ashashvatam. It's full of misery and it is temporary. It's actually compared to like a prison house. Can anyone be happy in a prison house? No, because there are restrictions. So here also we are bound by our past karma. We are working under the strict laws of the Supreme Lord. But with the help of knowledge and practice, we can reach a stage where all this is not going to affect us. We will be unaffected. We will not be agitated. We will be completely fixed in consciousness of Krishna. And this we can definitely achieve with mantra meditation. I have my personal example. I have been doing mantra meditation for over 35 years now. And I am a totally different person now. Not physically, but emotionally, mentally, very different. Previously, I used to get very angry at small things because of OCD, oh, why didn't you keep this in place? Or why did you mess up here? Whatever. But now, after performing mantra meditation for so many years, it's not that I'm tired of it. It's not I'm saying, oh, I've done it for so many years, let's forget it. No, just that meditation is kind of, it helps one to do more meditation because it is so soothing, it is so powerful. And then Krishna says when a person is unaffected, then person reaches a perfect transcendental position, which is also called samadhi. That means he's firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So knowledge is very important. It's not blind faith. I am not sitting here and telling you what I think or what I feel because that's irrelevant. I am imperfect. We all human beings are imperfect. We have imperfect senses. We have tendency to cheat. We make mistakes and we are in illusion. So being imperfect, how can we give our own knowledge? That is definitely going to be imperfect. So it's not blind faith, but it is given in the Bhagavad Gita. Let's do the last verse for today. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. So another indication is being given to us how we can reach that perfect consciousness. Withdraw the senses from sense objects. See something and really not get attached to what we see and not go crazy about getting everything that we see. No, controlling the senses from sense objects. And a nice example is given by Krishna of a tortoise. Tortoise has a very hard shell on top. So what does a tortoise do? If you try to throw a stone or try to hit something, it immediately goes inside the shell. It knows how to go inside, how to control. So similarly, Krishna is asking Arjuna to control the senses, like withdraw them. Don't get flown away or swept away by the desires. No, control. That is perfect consciousness. And that again is possible by mantra meditation. So if we understand our constitutional position as a servant of the Lord, we can become a yogi, we can, reach that perfect consciousness. Otherwise, uncontrolled senses are like serpents. So, of course, just like children, when they go to school, they have to follow certain regulations, right? They have to follow, they are restricted. There are do's and don'ts in the school. Like you got to reach on time, you got to attend all the classes, do the homework and projects, or whatever it may be. There are certain regulations, rules and regulations. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita also gives us regulations to restrict sense enjoyment. And it is an art. And one can easily master this art of yoga simply by taking on the knowledge and putting it into practice. So knowledge can help us to lead a karma-free life, not live randomly. Oh, today I wake up and I just feel like doing this, this, and this. No, there has to be a goal in mind. One has to have a goal in mind. And not only that, one needs to work towards that goal. Find out how, first of all, find out what is the goal of human life. If once we found out, how do I get there? How do I achieve my goal? So it should not be random living, but live in such a way that there is no more karma, because every action has a reaction. We will learn more about karma in chapter 3 and 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, because here Krishna is just introducing karma to Arjuna, through Arjuna, for us, so that we can, understand how we can come to that consciousness where we are equipoised, mind is steady, senses are under control, and person is self-satisfied. So this is what Krishna has been explaining, and we will continue with verse number 59 from what you call, I'm sorry, from next Tuesday onwards. We will definitely continue that. And I would like to know, before I open the floor for any questions, I am going to, excuse me, post some links. These are the links, the Zoom link, which you are on right now, then the Facebook page link, then the YouTube channel that has different lecture series on the Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures also, explained in a systematic way. And of course, a WhatsApp group where if any of you would like to join the WhatsApp group, you can, click on that link and join, so that you can get the daily, you can say daily meditations and information about the classes, etc. So I would like to